podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
This is the FPL Draft Zone, your fantasy team's best signing of the season.
The international break is nearly over and Premier League football is almost back. Today we take a look ahead to Gameweek 4 and we've got those waiver suggestions to help your team win big. Hello and welcome to another episode of the FPL Draft Zone, a podcast all about draft FPL. I'm Dom Crofts, I hope you are well, and yes, we have almost come through the first international break of the season unscathed, and now our attention can turn back towards that thing we love the most, the Premier League, and of course, your draft league as well, with Gameweek 4 right around the corner. Coming up, we're going to take a look at all the fixtures, we're going to throw a few stats your way, and we're going to give you some waiver options for your draft side. But before we do any of that, it is that time of the week where we ask you to subscribe to the pod if you haven't already, so you never miss an episode. And we politely ask you, cap in hand, for a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, or whatever podcast platform you listen to us on, because there is this thing called the algorithm. And this thing called the algorithm is very important in making podcasts more visible to listeners on podcast platforms, and we want to be more visible to listeners on podcast platforms, so a review or some words of positivity would be absolutely great. Okay, let's talk Game Week 4, which kicks off on Saturday the 13th of September 2025 at 12:30pm BST with a game between Arsenal and Nottingham Forest at the Emirates Stadium in North London. Arsenal have not lost at home to Forest since 1989, and in their last 4 meetings at home, they've won them all 3-0, 2-1, 5-0, and 5-0. Last season, Bukayo Saka and Ethan Nwaneri were among the goal scorers, and Gabby Martinelli, who desperately needs a goal, has got 3 of them in his last 4 games against Nottingham Forest. Bukayo Saka has been spotted back in training during the international break, but I'm not sure he's going to be fit enough to start this one, so Noni Madueke should continue on that right-hand side. He did well against Liverpool. He had more shots in that game than any other Arsenal player. He's done well for England as well in their first international game, and his pace and directness could see him cause Nico Williams all sorts of problems on that left-hand side. Martin Odegaard has played for Norway during this break as well, so he should be fine for this one, which really only leaves that left-hand side conundrum for the Gunners. Martinelli got the start against Liverpool, but he was poor. Eze will be pushing for a start after he made a sub-appearance in that game. Leo Trossard is fit as well. You would expect Eze to get the nod, but assuming he's taken on the waivers, and I think that's a fair assumption, I would consider someone like Trossard as a 5th midfield option if you're in a big old league. And there's not much else available in that big old league because Trossard is always capable of scoring a goal, and he does it quite well, even in limited minutes. William Saliba is the other headline to come out of Arsenal this week. He's going to miss the next 3 to 4 weeks, which means suddenly Christian Mosquera should feature very highly on your waiver priority list if you know what's good for you. As for Forest, like Arsenal, they have invested heavily in this transfer window, but with all the politics going on between Nuno and Marinakis right now, it's actually hard to know which signings Espirito Santo wanted in the first place. Omari Hutchinson has cost the club a lot of money, but has been left out of their Europa League squad, which does not bode well for him. He did get off the bench in that defeat to West Ham, as did James McAtee and Arnold Kalimwendo. I don't think I'd go near any of them right now, given all the uncertainty around the club. We did speak about their new signing Dylan Bakwa having the potential to be a key player for them going forward, but it's probably a little too early for him this week. The only player I think could break into their side sooner rather than later of the new crop, and who might be a decent pickup, is Douglas Luiz, who's joined from Juventus. He was the unused substitute against West Ham, but given they lost that game so convincingly, I think he might start this one. And it wasn't long ago that he was being linked with a move to Arsenal, and indeed the last time he played at the Emirates, he did score for Aston Villa in a 2-1 defeat. It's Bournemouth against Brighton at the Vitality, and Bournemouth will be looking to make it 3 wins and 3 clean sheets in a row. Last time out, Brighton also won. They beat Manchester City at the Amex, but in their only away game of the season so far, they lost and they failed to score against Everton, and that was despite racking up more than 2 XG in that game. Brighton have actually won 5 of the last 6 meetings between these two sides, including both games last season, 2-1 on each occasion. But I fancy Andoni Iraola's side to win this one, and it would not surprise me if they kept a clean sheet as well. So a Diakite or a Senesi are worth looking at. Both have the potential to get you some DEFCON points as well, particularly Senesi. Justin Cliver may still be on the waivers, given he has only just recovered from an injury. He scored in this game last season and would be an excellent pickup if you can get him. And even though Bournemouth have strengthened their attacking options with the likes of Ben Doak and Amin Adli, I do think David Brooks may well keep his place for this one. He got an assist on the opening day at Anfield, and he has an expected goal involvement in his opening 3 games of nearly 2. So he is having a big old impact in that attacking third for Bournemouth. He's causing problems, and his underlying numbers suggest he could easily have returned in 2 of his first 3 games. So who's to say he won't get among the points this week against Brighton? As for Brighton, loaning out Matt O'Reilly seems like a bit of a weird move given his involvement in the opening few games of the season, but his absence should see Rutter get more minutes. Lots of managers were very high on him at the start of the season, and he has the added advantage of having the potential to play up front as well. Apparently he's been dealing with a bit of a knock, but the international break should have cleared that up, and I would expect him to start this one. He didn't score against the Cherries last season, but of his 8 goals that he did get, 6 of them were on the road, so he'd be on my radar for this week and beyond, because I think he can beat that total of 8 goals this season and have a decent impact on the South Coast. Mark Gahey's Crystal Palace are at home to Sunderland at Selhurst Park, and it will be interesting to see if the Eagles captain can continue performing at the sort of levels we're used to after his move to Liverpool fell through on transfer deadline day. Palace were better on the road last year than they were at home, and that trend has continued this season with 2 clean sheets on their travels and 4 points so far. The only home game they've had up to this point was a 1-1 draw with Nottingham Forest. Maxence Lacroix is probably taken in your draft league, which is a shame as he is looking like a bit of a DEFCON beast, but Chris Richards is not far behind in that aspect, and he is more likely to be free. An injury to Ismail Assar should see Yeremy Pino get his first start for the club, as long as the ankle injury that has ruled him out of the Spain squad isn't serious. And given the number of injuries they've got right now, Christansus Uche, who was another deadline day signing, could also get some minutes on the right as Sar's direct replacement. Of the 2 new boys, I would go for Pino first, but as we all know, forwards are a bit of a nightmare in draft. So if you can't get a Waltermard or a Muani on the waivers, Uche could be a low-risk, high-reward alternative if you've got someone like Osula clogging up that third striker spot. As for Sunderland, they have already got 2 wins under their belt this season, but both were at home at the Stadium of Light, and even though they've won their last 3 at Selhurst Park by an aggregate scoreline of 8-1, by the way, I do think Palace will edge this match. However, if you do want some Black Cats action, Brian Brobby is a long-term option as a striker. He'll surely become their first choice forward going forward, and no Sunderland player has more DEFCON points than Granit Xhaka right now. He got an assist last time out against Brentford as well, and their next game is at home to Aston Villa, who of course are a side that right now have not even scored a goal yet this season. And they are up at Everton this weekend at Goodison Park in the Jack Grealish derby. Villa have won 7 of the last 9 games between these two, with Ollie Watkins scoring 3 goals across both games last season, so owners of him can be hopeful of a decent return this weekend. But they have not won a game yet, they have not scored a goal yet, and that is inside their first 3 games. They'll have Harvey Elliott and Jadon Sancho to call on for this one. I do like the look of Elliott as a draft option. I think given increased minutes, he could have a very strong season for Villa, but of course Unai Emery does have a reputation of slowly easing in his new signings, so beware of that. And now Emi Martinez is remaining at the club. He could be an upgrade as one of your 2 keeper options, although never forget,
Marco Bizot, Marco Bizot, Marco Bizot. You get the idea.
Everton have brought in a new midfielder by the name of Merlin Roll. He looked good at the under-21 Euros in the summer, but based on his club career, he's not really a draft option right now, and I'm not even sure he's going to start regularly for the Blues. But Jack Grealish's form has, of course, been excellent for the Toffees so far. I still like Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall as a draft asset as well, and Jared Branthwaite is still expected to be missing for quite a while with an injury. So if you think Villa will go another week without scoring, Michael Keane could well be available in your league, and he has twice hit the DEFCON threshold in his first 3 games. It's Fulham against Leeds at Craven Cottage, and Fulham's new signings Kevin and Samuel Chukwueze could make their debuts in what appears to be a fairly kind fixture for Marco Silva's side. Picking up either this early in their Premier League careers is of course a bit of a gamble, but given the calibre of their opponents, it wouldn't surprise me if either got an attacking return in this one, although most likely from the bench. I'd probably lean towards Kevin as the more exciting pick, but as always, I would be looking at Mr. Alex Iwobi if I wanted some guaranteed Fulham coverage. He got an assist in Game Week 2 against Manchester United. He could easily have returned in Game Week 1 against Brighton as well, so he is a very decent option if he is free as your rotating 5th choice midfielder. Leeds, well, they're unbeaten at Ellen Road so far, but their only away game was that 5-0 defeat to Arsenal. Leeds have lost their last 4 meetings with Fulham as well, and I would expect that run to grow this weekend. And given the number of players that Leeds have brought in, it's actually pretty hard to know who to recommend because it's hard to know who is going to play. So I would steer clear of Leeds assets ahead of this weekend. Newcastle take on Wolves at St James's Park, and this looks like the sort of game that is made for a Johan Wissa or a Nick Woltemade to have an instant impact in. We spoke in length about Woltemade in the previous deadline day pod, so if you haven't listened to that, go back and give it a go. But while he may not start immediately, he certainly has the ability to make an instant impact here, and he is much more than a beanpole forward. He's technically assured, a good link-up player too, got an assist against Northern Ireland the other day for Germany, so he is in a good moment and could be ready to set the Premier League alight. Anthony Gordon's suspension means that Harvey Barnes will start again, but Jacob Murphy may well get a start as well, and he was a very useful waiver pickup last season. He got 61 minutes in the last game against Leeds. Newcastle's defence has also looked solid all season, 2 clean sheets so far from them, so if there's a Dan Burn on the waivers or similar, I would absolutely go for them. Burn has hit the DEFCON threshold twice in 3 games so far, and even though Lewis Hall has not yet started a game so far this season, surely it's only a matter of time before he does. He was excellent last year for Eddie Howe's side before picking up that injury, and if you wanted to roll the dice and try to get him in before he attracts the interest of rival managers, now might be the time to do it. As for Wolves, they have a new striker to call on in the form of Tolu. He's joined from Genk, where he was top scorer in the Belgian league last year. There is talk he may well turn out to be a long-term partner to Jorgen Strand Larsen rather than a backup option, so that is one to keep an eye on. He's unlikely to start here, but if you do need a third striker option, he is obviously a more exciting pickup than an Osula or a Mark Gayu. Newcastle are unbeaten in 7 against Wolves and have won the last 2 meetings at St James's Park by 3-0, although Anthony Gordon and Alexander Isak scored 5 of those 6 goals, and neither will be playing on Saturday. In the early evening kickoff, it is a London derby at the London Stadium as West Ham take on Spurs. The Hammers were dreadful in the first 2 game weeks, but they did bounce back with a surprise win at the City Ground in Game Week 3. And after scoring in that one, Callum Wilson could get a start here. He is likely to go under the radar this week on the waivers with the likes of Woltemade and Muani available. But if he can stay fit, he will score goals for West Ham. And he's got 4 goals and an assist in 11 appearances against Spurs. As for Spurs, they have a host of new faces available on the waivers for the first time. We just mentioned Kolo Muani, who should challenge Richarlison for that striker spot, especially while Dom Solanke is out. He can also play on the left, which could spell trouble for owners of Brennan Johnson. Xavi Simons is the other new face at Spurs. He can also play on the left as well as in his preferred number 10 role, and he will surely be the chief creator for Thomas Frank's side going forward, with James Maddison ruled out for the rest of the campaign. 10 goals and 7 assists in the Bundesliga for him last year. The likes of Muani and Siemens will be taken on the waivers early this week, so if you're not near the bottom of the table, don't get your hopes up that you're going to get the chance to sign them. Spurs have lost just one of their last 8 against West Ham, but they haven't won at the home of the Hammers in their last 5 visits. And then there is a night game on Saturday to look forward to as well, with Brentford at home to Chelsea at the G-Tech in a West London derby. Brentford have lost 2 of their first 3 games, which is not ideal, but they did win at Bournemouth in the League Cup, and they have won their only home game of the season so far, 1-0 against Aston Villa. You would expect Brentford's defenders to be busy here, and while they almost certainly will not keep a clean sheet, they could have a few players that could rack up those DEFCON points. Nathan Collins is the obvious pick if he's free, but he's actually being outscored at the moment by Sepp van den Berg, who has reached the DEFCON threshold every single week so far. He got 8 points in the win over Villa, but has also picked up 3 points twice as a result of his defensive contributions, and he is almost certainly free in your league.
What if buying a new appliance felt like a win for your home and your wallet? Save up to 50%, plus up to an extra $600 on select major appliances at the Best Buy Appliances Labor Day sale. Learn more at bestbuy.com. Best Buy, imagine that.
Mikkel Damsgaard could also be free. He had an excellent season last year, and after missing the start of the season with injury, he is now back with a bang. He also hit DEFCON in Gameweek 2. He's also more than capable of registering an attacking return, having got 2 goals and 10 assists last year. As for Chelsea, if Cole Palmer is past fit, that may be a problem for Esteval Villian, but the Brazilian scored for his country over the international break. He's been putting in top quality performances so far in the Premier League, and his expected goal involvements by game read 0.71, 0.90, and 0.42. So when he is on that pitch, he is making a big impact. And against a side like Brentford, I would fancy him to have a positive impact again, even if he does start on the bench. I have him in a few of my teams, and it is difficult to decide whether to stick with him or fear rotation. The danger of dropping him, of course, is that if he has another standout game this week, he could very easily become one of the first choice attackers under Enzo Maresca. And you mustn't forget now, of course, that Liam Delap is injured. So João Pedro will be starting up front most weeks, which means Palmer will be playing in the 10, which really only leaves Neto, Garnacho, Villian and Gittins as options on the wing. I don't think Gittins will get in ahead of Esteval right now. I don't think Garnacho will start this week. So thinking about it, I think if you have Esteval Villian right now, hold on to him for this week. Don't be put off by the risk of rotation, because I think he will be a regular sooner rather than later. And now he's starring for Brazil, it's going to be even harder for him to be dropped. And of course, if you want a safer route into that Chelsea midfield, and Caicedo is still free, he's got 5, 8 and 4 points so far this season. And last week, he racked up an insane 23 DEFCON points. So he's bound to keep producing them at the very least. The last 3 games played between Brentford and Chelsea at Brentford's ground have all ended in draws. On Sunday, the champions Liverpool travel to Burnley, where we're likely to see Alexander Isak in a red shirt for the first time. Liverpool have won the last 5 against the Clarets and have only conceded 1 goal during that period, but none of their goal scorers from any of those games are now at the club. As for their options, after his excellent performance and his goal against Arsenal, Dominic Szoboszlai is surely going to keep his place at right back. And as well as his goal, he also got DEFCON points in that win over the Gunners. Outside of him and Connor Bradley, I think realistically most Liverpool assets will already be taken. As for Burnley, they have played 1 and won 1 so far at Turf Moor, but I suspect Liverpool will pose a little bit more of a threat than Sunderland did. And to be honest, unless you are in massive leagues, I don't think I'm going to recommend any of their players. But of course, Anthony and Cullen appear to be their biggest attacking threats, and Hjalmar Ekdal has been their highest scoring defender so far. He's got DEFCON points in his last 2 games, and you would expect him to be busy again in this one. And then wrapping up the weekend is a big old game between Manchester City and Manchester United in the battle of the new goalkeepers. City have signed the best shot stopper in the business in Gigi Donnarumma, and United have signed a lanky Belgian keeper who is being compared to Thibaut Courtois by some, those people mainly being Manchester United fans. Either are good options, of course, if you want to change up your keeper picks, with Donnarumma the better option by far, I suspect. Ryan Cherky's injury means Oscar Bob could well become a regular beyond these first few game weeks, so if he's free, he might now be worth pulling the trigger on. And Savinho may well now get eased back into City's first team as well after his proposed move to Spurs did not happen. As for United, there are doubts over Mason Mount, Cunha and Diego Dalot's fitness. Joshua Zirkzee played just under an hour in the win over Burnley as his United career threatens to make a comeback. So while everyone is looking at the likes of Waltemada and Muani, there may already be a playing striker available in your waivers if you're desperate. And of course, it is a desperate time getting that third striker option. And some managers may already have grown tired of Amad Diallo and stuck him back on the waivers, but I do think he'll play in this one. He got the winner last year, and that's about all I've got in terms of Manchester United assets. United are actually unbeaten in their last 4 against City, winning 2-1 at the Etihad last time out, with 2 goals in the last 2 minutes. Exciting. And that is your lot. That is your Game Week 4 preview done and dusted, combined, of course, with some stellar waiver options to make your team sing like Taylor Swift or somebody who has a better voice. If I was picking a player from each position with this game week in mind, I would be going for Gigi Donnarumma as a goalkeeper pickup. In defence, I would be all in on Big Dan Burn or another Newcastle defender if he's not available. In midfield, the temptation is to go for a Xavi Simons, of course, as a long-term pick, and that makes total sense. But if you're playing for this game week and this game week only, I do like Alex Iwobi, and I do like Esteval Villan of Chelsea. And up front, there are, for once, quite a few options. But for me, the pick this week has to be Nick Waltemada of Newcastle United, who I think has the potential to be a very nice signing indeed. Let us know which players you've got your eye on ahead of the waiver deadline. You can get in touch with us on X and on Instagram at FPL Draft Zone. We're also on Blue Sky as well at FPL Draft Zone .bsky.social, and we also lurk in the shadows of Reddit, where there are some very nice people, but also some people who are hypercritical. Don't really know what that's about, tend to ignore them. Anyway, until next time, good luck in those waivers, good luck in free agency if you need it, and good luck ahead of Game Week 4. It should be a good one. And until we talk again, it is bye for now.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.